2 days before America went to the polls to elect a new president, the Battle of Ideas Festival hosted a unique day of debates on the American elections. A WORLDbytes crew were there to record what was said. Here are the highlights.
I think that Obama is going to win because the party that's presided over the economic mess in America is the party that gets blamed for the mess. But I don't think he's going to win by much. In many important states, the polls are close enough to be right within a margin of error. I hope I'm wrong, and that Obama ends up winning by the kind of landslide Franklin Roosevelt won by in 1932. And Obama, interestingly, has run a campaign that resembles that of Roosevelt in 1932. But Roosevelt actually ran as a fiscal conservative. What he did project, as Obama does, is an air of calm and steadiness. And everywhere I've gone, I've found that students really are registered in unprecedented numbers, and most of them are Obama supporters. I do believe the polls are right on this issue. Voters under 30 are going to support Obama by 2-1.
One of the things I think is revealing is if you look at what Obama and McCain have in common, because I think that actually highlights some of the new features in American politics today. And here, I'm not talking about so much, again, about the issues, but I'm talking about things like the fact that both have run in their personal biography. They've both written and promoted memoirs. And I think these trends are new, and I also think they're negative. I think that it shows a sort of move toward personality and, and the rise of what you might call therapy politics. What a lot of people see is in Obama in particular as something new on the scene, and there's a lot of talk about him bringing change. I don't see him bringing fundamental change. I don't see that. I don't see what he's going to bring would necessarily be a positive thing. He's not going to pull out the troops immediately. He just the other day named that Colin Powell will be his advisor, the same guy that sold the WMD story to the UN and executed the war. He's, if anything, more aggressive on Afghanistan than Bush and McCain. I obviously recognize, that he's run a remarkable campaign, and it really be quite something for him to come from virtually nowhere to be elected. He's got to have something going for him if he's done that. But I think one of the main things he's got going for him is that he's the anti-Bush. I think what voters are going to do mainly is reject Bush, less than embrace Obama fully. I do think Obama will win, and I think that what he does in office may tarnish the ideas of hope and change, and will only add to cynicism. But I think what ultimately happens after the election is up to us.
Obama's registered about 106,000 extra voters. John McCain's managed about 16,000. That's a lot of extra voters. What we've seen with Obama is just drawing people in. My Obama, allowing you to sort of run your own events independently, giving people a stake in the campaign. So there's a real sense of ownership. And when there's a sense of ownership, there's a sense of belonging, and as a result, there's a greater motivation to get out and do the work for your candidate. That's as a result of turning the campaign from broadcast to receive, turning it into a conversation where we're actually starting to talk with and engage with voters.
Geraldine Ferraro raised the issue back in the summer over whether or not Obama would have been the Democratic nominee for president if he hadn't been black. And I think there's something to that, but I'd take that thought a little farther, that a black man would not be the Democratic nominee for president if he weren't Obama. He is really self-possessed. He's one of the coolest politicians I've ever seen. You want a president who has self-control. I'm not going to be negative about this this candidacy. I find it just thrilling, and I'm especially excited that this is not a token candidate. That this is a man who looks as if, I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll be disappointed. Maybe he won't be elected, and we won't even get to find out. But he does seem as if he could be a great president. The pick of Sarah Palin as McCain's running mate raises the stakes enormously in this election. The fact that this woman who has barely been out of Alaska doesn't even know much about the lower 48, much less the rest of the world, and couldn't put a grammatical sentence together to save her life, much less a coherent point once she finally was allowed to have interviews by herself. I find this absolutely petrifying, because if that woman becomes president, we're stuck in Pretty Woman.
One of the reasons we're all interested in this election is because both of the candidates are very, very good. And it's really easy to forget that, because at this point people are frustrated by McCain's negative campaigning or worried about Obama's lack of experience. But actually, both of them are streets ahead of previous candidates. And they mark a real shift in the storyline of America, which is what the rest of the world has always been interested in. The maverick war hero or the first black candidate, they're really refreshingly new and very authentic narratives.
If we look at what Obama has done with the whole change strategy, I mean, does anyone actually specifically know what that change is? I mean, we're changing stuff for sure. We've got change. We're going to change Washington. We're going to change this. Might change the shirt. Might change the tie. But there's a lot of change going on. I don't know specifically what it means, but it's this intangible idea, this desire to see change. And picking up a little bit, elections are always about that, essentially. The narrative for the Obama campaign is that McCain is another 4 years of Bush. Ergo, that's an incumbency. So that the argument typically there would be, well, we need more of the same because it was good. That's not what McCain's saying. He's saying he's a maverick. So Obama is about change. Elections generally are about change versus more of the same.
I suggest to you that this is a therapeutic conception of politics. It's about people being treated as people being patronized. I think the Democrats are snobs. Snobs, that's what they are.
Sarah Palin hasn't really been featured much in this discussion, but she has taken a huge drubbing in the media. Would anybody defend her, and why?
Really, Obama is a man of our moment. He most epitomizes this because he's anti-political. He has most understood what our times are, and he has come to represent that. And if you see his really quite they're exciting gatherings, they're more like rock concerts. We talk about politics as therapy. What we have is a kind of, we're all together in this kind of moment of enjoyment. But where are the ideas, or where are the politics?
Character does matter. Temperament matters. Roosevelt had a great temperament. I think Obama has a great temperament for this time, too. And I don't think it has anything needed to do to give a whole bunch of specific policies.
There's some of the support for Palin that gets expressed. Things like, well, she's feisty, she's one of us. And people scoff at that. They sort of say, that's not politics, that's just, you know. But then at the same time, you hear things like, well, Obama, he's calm, he's reassuring, these kind of qualities you hear about him, but nothing really about what exactly is he going to do.
The reason in politics we make things simple in a campaign, the reason we drum it down to a sound bite, the reason we think so much about how you look, the background behind you, the slogan, is because you're competing in a very competitive market. You've got maybe a couple of minutes a day where you could effectively communicate with them, and the reality is in that couple of minute window, you can't get a lot through. What you can get through is an idea, emotion, connecting with the person, letting them connect with the candidate. And if we can get policy through in that moment, then so much the better.
As for Democrats being smug, a word choice is funny. The word I would use is proud. And considering that Democrats have walked in 8 years of shame, it's about time that Americans had something to feel proud of.